Today on TFL Bike, we're doing another list video because it's terrible outside. It's getting into the negatives this week.
Yeah, the high tomorrow is 4 degrees, 2 degrees, something like that. We're not riding this week, so we put together some fun list videos. We're staying warm inside, and as soon as the weather turns, we're gonna get out and ride some bikes next week when it's nice and sunny.
So this list is going to be the top 5 strangest motorcycles that you can buy today. We did a similar list a way long time ago, but those were just the weirdest bikes of all time that we found. These are bikes you can buy today, and we got this idea from an article on Cycle World, but we changed up the list a little bit, added some of our own choices on here. So should we start out with number 5?
Yeah, let's do it. This is a bike that we've had some seat time on, actually. This is the Kake Osa Plus, which is, Kake is a Swedish company. They make some really funky looking motorcycles. And kind of modular motorcycles, right?
Yeah, they're electric, super modern, utilitarian design. They are pretty expensive bikes, so like the work version that we're talking about for this list is a $12,000 bike. It can do 56 miles per hour, it's got about 70 miles of range, and it weighs about 215 pounds. So it's essentially a 125cc equivalent, which we tested out and we found that was pretty true. I mean, we had it up against a Grom head-to-head, and in terms of speed and acceleration, they were pretty similar.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I think they're spot on with the 125cc equivalent. This bike's a head turner. We had it parked in our office for a while, and everybody that would come by to drop off a car or
like,
delivery guys, they wanted to know what the Kake was. So if you want a head turner, sort of a scooter-ish thing, easy to ride, no clutch, all electric.
I mean, they're strange looking bikes because they are so modular and utilitarian, and it's a very unique structure and design. But another thing that makes them kind of weird that landed them on this list is that you can also get them fitted like the work version of this bike with all kinds of racks, baskets, storage solutions. You can even tow a trailer with them. So the utility of the bike also makes it kind of an outlier.
Yeah, one of the coolest parts about this bike is the headlight is attached with like a bicycle style seat post clamp.
Yeah.
And it's got this braided kind of extendable wire on it. So what you do is you pull the headlight out of that clamp and you can put like a basket or some other kind of rack in that clamp and then extend the headlight out with the cable that comes off of it. Which I've never, what other motorcycle can you take the headlight off and move it like 3 feet out in front of you?
Yeah, or hold it in your hand and use it like a flashlight.
Exactly. So really, that's a good point. If you're like trying to adjust your tire pressure at night or something,
exactly. Pop the
headlight
headlight off.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so parts of that make it actually really useful. And again, for this whole list too, weird is not to say bad by any means. They're just things that make some of these bikes
unusual,
unique. Yeah. Now, part of the reason that these Kake motorcycles are so expensive is because they manufacture so many of their own parts. They're not sourcing a lot of parts from other manufacturers, and it's expensive to develop and manufacture your own parts. But some of that is kind of cool because, like, on this bike, for example, the front and rear wheel, they do these funky labels on them. So like the front wheel says rim 04F for front, and the rear says rim 04R for the rear. So
the bar says like bar 01 on it. So
so you can tell which part that bike is meant to have on it if you needed to replace a part because they're labeled. So it's a combination of function and design. It's kind of creating form in like through function. It makes them super unique.
Yeah, and I think just the whole thing, the seat is like this weird, thin white pad.
Yeah, that you can slide back and forth on the frame.
It's also got like snow tires on it, which is super weird.
It's got siping snow-rated tires. Yeah.
So a really wacky bike. Honestly, everything that Kake makes could fall onto this list. We just picked one of them. But yeah, every bike they make could be on this list of weirdest motorcycles out there. We did a full ride review out in California. We did that video versus the Grom. We have a bunch of stuff on the Kake Osa Plus, so go check it out. $12,000 for that guy.
Now, next up on our list for number 4 is the BMW CE04, and this is a bike that Tommy actually had a chance to do a video on, walk around it, and check out some of the things that make it super unique. And this is just seems like a very European kind of thing to me. The urban mobility scooters.
Yeah, they're definitely more popular over there. But I think in kind of this new age of electric vehicles, BMW wants to bring it here. There's excitement around new electric, modern-looking, weird-looking vehicles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely excitement around it. Definitely has a weird design. I saw it in person before Tommy, and I didn't get to sit on it or ride it. But it's big. Like, that's the first thing you notice, is it's a big, big scooter, and it's low to the ground, which is weird to see, like, this mobility scooter, basically, or whatever you call it.
Urban mobility.
Mobility scooters, like what you ride in the grocery
urban
store.
mobility scooter.
Yeah, whatever they're calling this thing. But it's like a lowrider. You get up to it, and it's got this
slammed.
Yeah, it's got this crazy stance to it, and this wide screen dash. There's just so many crazy things on it.
Yeah, the way it looks is very strange because, like you said, super low to the ground, very, very modern styling. It looks like it belongs in a contemporary art museum. It's around a 400cc equivalent bike and about an 80-mile range, about 75 mile per hour top speed. That screen that you mentioned, 10.25-inch TFT, which is the same kind of screen that we see on a lot of other BMW motorcycles, but it's a whole other thing to see it on an electric scooter. That's a massive piece of technology, even for a motorcycle, a massive screen.
Yeah. We've said this before, BMW is leading the space in terms of screens on motorcycles.
That screen it's great.
Yeah, that screen is on a lot of different bikes they make, but even the smaller screens they have on some of their sport bikes that I played around with, they have some of the best looking screens in the industry. They're absolutely killing it in that area. And for a tech nerd like myself, that's a big selling point.
Some other weird things about the CEO4 is, for a scooter, it has a reverse because it weighs 509 pounds. And a couple other things, like it's got a single-sided swing arm, which usually you have on a bike that wants to show off this really crazy wheel design, right? But this bike has a wheel that looks like a steely, however, it's not a steel wheel, it's aluminum. So it's got a single-sided swing arm to show off a wheel that basically doesn't have any...
Looks like a base model wheel off a Sport Wrangler or something.
Yeah. And then it's also got this crazy aerodynamic kickstand. So super strange bike, and a bike with a big price tag. Base price starts at $11,795, but you can spec it almost all the way to $15,000.
Yeah, this is a cool scooter, but I can list off 30 motorcycles off the top of my head I'd rather have for $15,000 than a scooter. So, yeah, the price is a little killer, but, you see that in all electric vehicles right now. Like, look at the Livewire. Started at 30 grand. It's been out for a couple years. It's down closer to 20 grand now. So, hopefully, as they start to make more of these, the tooling becomes cheaper. It becomes cheaper for them to make these things. They start paying for themselves, and the price will start to go down.
Now, next on the list for number 3 is a motorcycle that is just, I guess, strange in the way that it looks. Not that it looks bad, and not that anything about this motorcycle other than the price tag is bad, but this is the MV Agusta Rush 1000, and this is an absolutely insane-looking bike.
Yeah, the look of this is like nothing else. So this is basically derived from the Brutale 1000 RR, but it's taken up to that next level. And really, the reason this made it onto the list is that rear wheel design. There's a lot of different weird looking components on this bike, but that rear wheel is like something I have never seen on any other bike out there. So you're going to get the same chassis and everything as the Brutale, but you get more CNC machined aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber. You have a 208 horsepower, 998 cc 4-cylinder engine. You can bump that up to 212 horsepower with the racing kit, 86.3 foot-pounds of torque, launch control, semi-active Öhlins suspension, Brembo Stylema brakes, and this, like I said, this
insane
crazy
lenticular
wheel design. That same thing, single-sided swing arm. Man, that looks so cool.
Yeah, I mean, think about how cool you would feel pulling up somewhere on this bike. Because another thing that brought it to this list is the fact that you just don't really see them around much. Partly because it's nearly a $50,000 motorcycle. And to be fair, MV Agusta makes a lot of arguably weird looking bikes. Again, not to say bad. I think their bikes look good, really good. Italians are great at making good looking things.
Unique.
Yeah,
Unique won't offend anybody.
Let's go with unique. I mean, I think they're great looking bikes, but it's so out there. It's so extreme. It reminds me of a supercar, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like anything else.
There's detail in it that you won't find in any other bike. Like just looking at the taillight design
the taillight.
and how
It's
that's
really cool.
nested in there with all this carbon fiber going around it. It's a piece of art. And I saw this kind of reading through some of the reviews of this bike. Someone was asking, what's the target market for this? Like, is it Jay Leno? Is it someone that's going to, buy it, ride it twice a year, and then park it in a warehouse for the rest of the year?
It's hard to say.
Hard to say who's going to go out and buy this bike.
We don't have $50,000 to spend on a bike, so it's not us.
Yeah, definitely not us, but man, this thing is cool, and I just love that wheel. If that wheel can be kind of put onto, if other brands can take up that sort of style and put that into other motorcycles in a cheaper motorcycle, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, if I had $50,000 to spend on a motorcycle, well, I would probably buy 6 or 7 motorcycles, but if I had $50,000 to spend on one motorcycle, this would be high up on the list.
Yeah?
It's a lot of money.
That's saying a lot, yeah. Kase is not a sport bike guy, so.
No, but I think this is rad if you're going to go that route.
I just love all the gold and yellow, too. Like, that color scheme is killer. The dual outlet exhaust that sits way up high under the seat.
Yeah. Super cool.
Pretty cool. All right, moving on.
Number 2 on this list is a motorcycle that's been strange for decades and decades. It's a staple of strange motorcycles, but it's one that they still manufacture, so it made it onto this list. It's the Rokon Moto Tractor. Very similar to the Trailbreaker, which is a well-known bike, but the Moto Tractor has some extra storage, some extra utility, bigger cargo rack, that kind of thing. This is a 2-wheel drive motorcycle at that.
Yeah, 2-wheel drive, you don't see, there's been a few 2-wheel drive bikes out there, but not something you see very often, and this makes it, I just want to get one of these for a ranch. Riding around a little 2-wheel drive bike over all the obstacles at the ranch would be pretty cool. Pull start engine, which is super interesting. It has a shock, like a rear shock for the front suspension instead of telescopic forks. But the weirdest part of this bike is the wheels.
Yeah, so the wheels, and I'll read a direct quote from Rokon's website. It has hollow drum wheels can provide flotation or space for up to 2.5 gallons of extra fuel or water. So you can store fluids in the wheels, or if you leave the wheels empty, it provides flotation. So there's on the Rokon website a list of features for this motorcycle. The first feature that it lists is front suspension, which is great. But the most interesting feature that it lists is, in quotes, this is directly from their website, can float.
Which is awesome. Rokon, if you're watching this, we have a pond at our ranch, and we'd love to break some ice and see if this thing actually floats. So if you're faithful in your bike and you think it does float, send us one. We will test that out.
Now, it's not an inexpensive bike. Another thing that makes it kind of odd, it's $9,575. So these are expensive machines. Not to say that they aren't capable with those big balloon tires and 2-wheel drive. It's just it's a strange use case for a motorcycle. It's a strange design for a motorcycle. Yeah, you can theoretically you can make them street legal
from the factory. They're meant to be like at a farm or on a ranch, and for close to 10 grand. Most people are going to put that money into a side-by-side or some sort of UTV.
Now, we actually know a guy about an hour away who has 2 Rokon Trailbreakers that we need to go throw a leg over and try him out. Because he has a whole off-road course at his facility. He's about an hour away, and his Rokons don't run because they've got bad gas in them. So
yeah, you might know who we're talking about. It's Jay Couch. He's the Unimog guy.
He's the Unimog
that you've
guy
seen
that
on
we work
TFL
with
Truck
on the car
and
side
TFL
of things.
Off-Road. So yeah, Unimog guy, of course, has some of these moto tractors too, because why not? So yeah, we're going to try and get some seat time on those too.
Yeah, that would be a good video. And then, now for number 1.
Which is, let's test my Italian, the Bimota.
Yeah, that's good.
Tessie H2. So this is a very unusual motorcycle because of the way the steering and the frame is all kind of put together. So Bimota back in 2006 tried making a similar bike to this. We're talking about the Tessie H2, but back in 06 they made the Tessie 3D, which was their first hub center steering motorcycle. And they've been making weird bikes since 1973. That's kind of been the whole thing of this brand, is unusual motorcycles.
Yeah.
But back in 2019, Kawasaki purchased a stake in the company. They purchased 49% of this company, and now they're putting Kawasaki H2 supercharged engines into kind of the original version of this bike. So you have a supercharged engine, a frameless chassis, and basically a rear swing arm for the front wheels that connects from the motor. So you have a motor with no frame, and then a swing arm from the back and the front of the motor connecting the two wheels, and basically a seat on top of the motor.
Yeah, and that swing arm is billet aluminum, and it's got crazy carbon fiber bodywork. The aero on this bike is extreme.
Yeah, I forget, I should have wrote the stat down, but the winglets, it's like 22 or 24 pounds of downforce or something like that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's also a $72,000 bike.
Affordable.
Yeah.
Very affordable.
That's impressive.
228 horsepower, 104 foot-pounds of torque. A crazy looking bike, definitely Italian looking bike.
Yeah.
Definitely a racy looking bike. But yeah, just the way that there's no frame, the motor, two swing arms coming off of it. It's crazy. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
so
I don't know how it would ride.
So those are our top 5. However, we did decide to throw in a bonus bike, which is something that we've been seeing more and more, something that we've been seeing some comments pop up about. So these are bikes that are kind of gaining some popularity.
Yeah, this is the Sur-Ron X Light B, which is kind of a combination when you look at it between a dirt bike and a mountain bike in terms of the weight and the size of everything. People are calling these the new modern pit bikes in this day and age. Like back in the day, you wanted to go have fun in the winter in the snow, you grabbed, like I do, a CRF 110 or an old XR50 or XR 100
XR80 or
whatever it is. Yeah, an old dirt bike that you can throw on the ground and beat up and not care about. And this is kind of the new electric version of that. People are saying these are the new pit bikes, and I've seen it firsthand. I've seen these at the track just kind of rolling around the pits, and I'd love to get one up at the ranch. This would do really well in the course.
Yeah.
But 34 amp hour battery, I believe you can spec that to a 38 amp hour battery, which makes no sense to me. Those are like
it's
right
not
in
that
the
much
same,
more.
Exactly. 6 kilowatts of peak power, 20 to 60 miles of range, depending on how you're riding, which obviously that's a big range, but if you're cruising down the road, that's going to use up a lot
Very
less
different
power.
from hard off-roading.
Exactly. 2 modes, Eco and Sport, 45 miles per hour top speed, and
not bad.
a climbing ability of 45 degrees, over 45 degrees.
Rokon claims 60 degrees.
Step it up, Sir Ron.
Yeah, it's got 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes in the front and rear, so legitimate brakes, and about 7.5 pound-feet of torque, and it's 103 pounds plus the weight of the battery, which they don't list, but it's a pretty small, compact bike, which is part of what makes it a little strange, because that's the question. Is it an e-bike? Is it a dirt bike? It's kind of somewhere in between, but I mean, for $4,400, it's not insanely expensive.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. It looks pretty capable.
I think $4,400 is a reasonable price for something like this.
Yeah, I mean, most electric anythings are very expensive. So $4,400 is getting you into about as entry level of a motorcycle type thing as you can get.
I mean, I paid $3,300 for my 110, so another $1,100 on top of that for what I'd say is a much more capable vehicle.
Yeah, you also got your Honda Monkey for what, around
$3,900.
$3,900. So you can get a lot more bike if you want to for that, but that's for one that's brand new, so that makes it a little different.
Yeah, I'd love to get some seat time on one of these up at the ranch, and not only weird because of the dirt bike mountain bike combo, but my head goes to, where are you allowed to ride these things? Like, they're not street legal. Would the bike park outside our office allow it?
Nope.
I don't know. Probably not, because it doesn't have pedals. So yeah, it's in that weird space of.
I'm sure you could ride it on dirt bike trails.
Yeah, definitely. But is it capable enough to keep up with dirt bikes?
I don't know if it would keep up with dirt bikes. Probably not, but it would still be fun. If you and your buddies all had these, then that could be a great way to tackle some dirt bike trails.
Yeah, anyway, we've gotten a lot of comments about these Surons. So if you have one and you're local to the Colorado area and you want to come check out the ranch and have a fun day with Case and I, we'd love to have you out and kind of see what these things are all about.
And if not, you're just going to have to chase somebody down on your 110 next time you're at the track. But that's not going to be for a while.
That's not going to be for a while. We're months away from track season.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's our top 5 weirdest bikes you can buy for 2023. If you're wondering where the Niken went, we tried to put it on this list, and we learned today that it looks like Yamaha killed off the Niken.
In the U.S.
In the U.S. It's still available overseas with some new changes, too. But here in the U.S.,
no
we
more
don't have the
Niken for us.
Let us know what your thoughts are on the Niken going away, and let us know if we missed anything. What other weird bikes are out there that you can buy brand new?
Well, and this is largely, too, based on opinion. A lot of you might think something like the MV Agusta or maybe even the Rokon isn't that strange. So, drop us some comments about what bikes that you think are strange, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, and if you want to go watch a really weird bike, go watch a Whizzer from 1947.
Oh, yeah.
You should go check that out. We did a weird bike.
Can't buy those new, but...
No, but it's a weird bike. You should go watch that video. See you in the next one.